It is not surprising that some who are hungry steal to eat, or that others go on strike. Only that all those who are starving do not steal more, and all those who are exploited are not continually out on strike. It is easy enough to steal, to take from the shelf and place in your pocket. There are deterrents and punishments, cost-benefit analyses, but you do not violate any laws of physics moving objects from one place to another. Likewise, one can find leaked credit card info, social security numbers, and password dictionaries from dark web vendors, follow widely available guides, and cash out without interference. All these actions obey the laws of code or physics that structure our reality, even if they transgress social laws. The immateriality of money enables both fraud and leaks, as well as insurance payouts for victims, speculative gains for investors, and credit for indebted governments. Without a gold standard or material basis to ensure value, fiat currency is instead maintained by a complicated web of social relations. In the same way, images that depict reality have no material basis to ensure their realness. Photography was assumed to carry this documentary function by using chemical processes reactive to visible light. But whatever privilege it had in representing the real has since been upset by a wealth of computer-generated images, indistinguishable from lens-based imagery. Reality cannot be captured. Instead, these representations of reality also operate by fiat, in accordance with a complicated web of social beliefs.
I gotta learn those things.
Just as there is nothing inherent to an object to preclude its theft, there is nothing intrinsic to realist images to prevent their misinterpretation. Recurrently, we hear anxiety about artificial intelligence brainwashing us into consumption, deepfakes and fake news immersing us in a world replaced by simulation, or synthetic media pushing malicious propaganda.
Soon, though, it's going to be impossible for the human eye to tell what's real and what's fake.
But the image is not the arbiter of reality. Instead, these systems operate from the outside, threatening and incentivizing on a circumstantial basis. Although images may be watermarked with contextualizing information like so many anti-theft tags, the tag itself does not prohibit theft. The tag is required to make the commodity illegible to other sensors and systems of enforcement. It can only operate within these circumstances. Any attempt to manipulate or corrupt the image will fail unless the system of perception that reads the image is addressed. But how can we see how we see?
And that one's response to that question, or one's reaction to that question, has to depend on an effect on where you find yourself in the world, what your sense of reality is, what your system of reality is. That is, it depends on assumptions which we hold so deeply as to be scarcely aware of them.
All acts of perception are exercises in valuation. Of all the data available to our senses, only some is deemed relevant, while the rest is disregarded as unimportant. What to include, what to exclude. A value system that draws from prior experience is required in order to distill this data. The same pattern recognition procedures occur in our brains, in algorithms sorting our feeds, or operating on a broader scale in the construction of a societal worldview, inheriting historical prejudices and inequities. While some have described the modern police state as a panopticon performing absolute surveillance, the reality is that the policing gaze excludes just as it includes. The same value systems determine what to protect and who to pursue. Just as realist images reflect what is worth representing, so do police represent what is worth policing. Only policed communities are subjected to justice. No injustice will be found where justice is not done. Such value systems describe both what is made legible as well as what is overlooked.
I'm not real, I'm just like you. You don't exist in this society. If you did, your people wouldn't be seeking equal rights. You're not real. If you were, you'd have some status among the nations of the world. So we're both myths. I do not come to you as a reality. I come to you as the myth.
So, given that photography is no longer commensurate with realism, we might consider the paradox of photorealism. Photorealism is not only a description of how things may look realistic or photographic, it also describes how our reality is shared through imagery produced by all kinds of cameras, scanners, and satellites, or generated by computers, machines, and networks. Now distinctions between photographic and photorealistic images are only legible with appropriate context. But post-photoreal technologies crystallize context into content by way of machine learning algorithms. Terabytes of images are extracted from our phones, devices, and surroundings to be analyzed for patterns and then probabilities. Machines reverse engineer human symbols and rituals until they can distinguish relevant pixels from irrelevant ones. The resulting images are not captured, but are rather inferred to fulfill a given condition. For instance, an AI may match a masked face to an extrapolated one, using probable image data for what cannot be seen. These technologies produce the ultimate realist aesthetic, imagery that controls reality. Your identity can be given through the image of your face or the rhythm of your gait. Audio of your voice can even be inferred from minute vibrations detected in a video clip. Biometrics now operate at a distance through vision and behavioral patterns rather than touch or presence. Teleoperated devices affect reality through image-based controls, while autonomous machines generate their own symbolic understanding of what is perceived. AI predictions can even be used to prosecute on the basis of intent, meaning potential violations can be treated as real. A new definition for virtual reality. Post-photoreal cameras do not just capture imagery for humans to view. Now cameras simultaneously witness, analyze, and prophesize the real.
The need to be observed and understood was once satisfied by God. Now, we can implement the same functionality with data mining algorithms. God was a dream of great government.
these conditions, novel as they may be, are not necessarily new. It is not new that justice is racially discriminate, that news is controlled by media barons, that governments spy on citizens, or that truth is replaced by empty rhetoric. And yet, the fact that many physicists are now employed by banks signals some kind of shift in the fabric of reality. New laws are creeping into physical reality. Social values are becoming inviolable on virtual grounds. But what is unfolding is not specific to technology. All technology still relies on labor, and all labor still relies on property relations. In the early 20th century, proponents of scientific management made long exposure photographs of workers at work. Recording repetitive tasks resulted in a blurred image, an accumulation of averages, which managers could analyze to improve efficiency. AI functions similarly. But whereas machines stop working when denied adequate energy and maintenance, human laborers often find ways to adapt to exploitative conditions or insufficient wages. In this sense, the ability to extract biometrics from imagery and the ability to manipulate imagery without loss of photorealism are two sides of the same coin. While governments warn that deepfakes can be used for targeted manipulation and social engineering, corporations already use targeted advertisements to manipulate consumer behavior. Both deploy public resources for the sake of private property, and both seek the predictive power that comes from circumventing personal privacy. Machines learn while humans are kept in the dark.
We knew so much about so many individuals that we could understand their inner demons. And we could figure out how to target those demons, how to target their fear, how to target their anger, how to target their paranoia. And with those targets, we could trigger those emotions. And by triggering those emotions, we could then manipulate them into clicking on a website, joining a group, telling them what kind of things to read, telling them what kind of people to hang out with, even telling them who to vote for.
Securing property has always meant materializing an ever-widening degree of identifying markers. For example, security tags emit electromagnetic radiation that becomes an indexical part of the shirt you are buying. Objects and images alike are made real by the conditions of property. To prevent fraud, objects must be marked as unique, unduplicable, so they can be bought, sold, and tracked. Post-photoreal image technologies do the same, finding singular symbolic elements within an image set to use as identifying properties of an individual. Nothing is real or fake until it's aligned with a value system that can perceive it. Legibility and legitimation go hand in hand. The laws of physics guarantee the scarcity of all kinds of objects, but digital entities require new laws, a new nature, a new conception of the physical.
can people live without, some sense that there's an ultimate truth or an ultimate scale of values?
There is no real without the possibility of forgery, and likewise there is no forgery without property. These relationships produce our experience of reality and ultimately relegate discussions of truth to matters of authentication, ownership, and power. The ethical question is no longer whether or not laws should be broken, but if laws should exist that cannot be broken at all, even if you wanted to.